The next element that I've been talking about, and I'm not going to review from last week, so I'm just going to continue on. You can go to the website to watch it. But the next element in developing your divine expectation in your life is called knowing your assignment. Say, knowing your assignment. It's important that you know your assignment because you are not assigned. Watch this now. You are not assigned to everybody. And everybody is not assigned to you. You cannot do everything, be everything for everybody every time. Somebody say amen. And trust me in this. I have tried to do it and have failed miserably, and it will wear you out. In fact, you can get so wrapped up in trying to do that that you literally will go about accomplishing nothing. I asked one of my mentors many, many years ago, who is very, very successful. It seemed like everything they did, everything they touched, it seemed like they were always a success at it. And I'll never forget the answer that they gave me when I asked them, what is it? And they said, you know what? It looks like I'm good at everything I do because I only do the things that I'm good at, even if they are not the things that I really want to do. And that good advice I have kept as great counsel, and I have tried to apply it to my life over the last 30 years on a regular basis. Every need is not, I want you to get this, I'm going to push on your theology a little bit, and maybe what you've been taught over the years, but every need is not a calling. You see, your enemy literally knows that if you do not understand the call of assignment, that he can literally send needy people across your path every day just to keep you all tied up and running around, never accomplishing anything of value. And because of that, you are never able to move on to doing anything greater because you're spending your life dealing literally with what I call snap, crackle, and pop. Over the last several weeks, we've been talking about that divine expectation. And you got to understand that in the world, if you do not realize, there are people whose names really are snap, crackle, and pop. Those three names, which are the perfect witness of something, because the number 3 is the perfect witness. And I can tell you what the perfect witness of snap, crackle, and pop is. Crazy people. You say, Pastor, prove that to me. People who are addicted to drama. You do realize there are people who are addicted to drama? They're addicted to chaos. They're addicted to strife. They're addicted to anything that is negative. They're addicted to it for some crazy reason. They have to have drama and trauma and chaos and crisis and division and strife and disagreement going on for some strange reason, or they are not happy. And those type of people, I want you to get this, those type of people literally seek and work and scheme to bringing all of that junk into your world. So you have to be careful. And you have to be on guard. Let me give you a couple of good definitions that you need to have. The first one is counseling. It is counseling because sometimes people will come to you with questions because they know that you are a Christian. Your non-believing friends or some of the people that you work with, folks that you know, they know you have a relationship with God. And they will come to you for counsel. But they really, let me help you out now because I've been at this a long time. They really aren't coming to you for counsel because they are the ones who are doing all the talking. You see, if you want counsel, that means I'm talking. If you want therapy, that means that I have to listen to you talk and that I get to go home and be depressed. And people who get addicted to drama and trauma and chaos seek to always trying to pull and tie up all the energy that you need to becoming productive in your life. If you do not understand the power of assignment, watch this. if you do not understand the power of assignment, you will put yourself literally also on some kind of religious guilt trip that says that I am not allowed to be happy as long as somebody else is sad. And there is a big danger in you doing that to yourself. And if you like being sad, because some people do, believe it or not, and you have wrapped yourself up in that spirit of self-pity, and you don't do anything that anybody has ever told you to do to get yourself up out of all that mess, and you keep making bonehead decisions, why do we have to put off or postpone our joy and tie up our time waiting on you just to come into your due season? Now, I know that sounds a little harsh and comes across a little harsh at first, possibly, but what I'm trying to talk to you about and what I'm trying to teach you about is assignment. And there needs to be some adjustment made in regards to this topic in people's lives. Because yes, here we go, we are a caring church. We are a compassionate people. We are a reaching out church. We are sensitized to the needs of the people who come in that God sends to us. But you also have to be smart enough to know that there are some people. Say some people. Say not everybody, but some people. Are you ready? Some people, the devil will send them to you. Oh, let me tell you, I've been pastoring 25 years. I've had the devil send me some people. Some of you know some of those people. And here's what's amazing. Some of those people have such an uncanny way of talking without ever needing air. It's amazing. Have you ever been approached by one of these kinds of people that while you're talking to them, all of a sudden they just take off running, and it's like they never, ever have to take a breath. And yeah, here you are at times trying to interject counsel to them because they told you they were coming to you for counsel because they wanted some counsel, and it gets so bad that you find yourself, as they're talking, trying to interject some counsel into the conversation to the extent that all of a sudden you start thinking while they're still going at it, I will never, ever again ask this person, how are you? Wow. And the whole time that you're talking, all of a sudden, they will get faster and faster and faster. And all of a sudden, they'll kick this thing into fourth gear. And off they go. Like, you know what? It's so good to see you. Thank you for asking. It's really been rough this week. I really had a tough time at work. At our work, there's a girl that works, and she's got all kinds of drama and crisis going on in her life. But, she's got the prettiest brown hair. My hairstylist is the best hairstylist you will ever be. She's got a little southern accent. Have you ever been to the South? Those people down there, they talk with a different, they're so friendly and so nice. And a friend of mine, she's married to a Mexican. Have you ever been to Mexico? Mexico is such a nice place. They don't really have some of the best things because they're a third world. Bert, you know what? When I was in third grade, my third grade teachers, they were, and it's amazing what they can do because they can tie all these things together with no focus and the subject matter. And it's like they're playing free association word games with you the whole time they're talking to you. And they come in and they have practiced it. Oh, I promise you, they have practiced stringing all of the dysfunctional pieces of their life together in one woven, uninterrupted, no commercial breaks necessary, no air needed, no agreement needed, no stop to breathe needed, just somebody to talk to needed. And they string all these events together, and they can start when they were 3 and end up at yesterday. How? I can tell you. They've rehearsed it. And yes, you know they've rehearsed it. Because when they tell you all about it, if you watch them close enough, they will walk away from you. And the next person that they meet, they will what? Blah, 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 blah. Wow, 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 wow. And they'll go on and on and on. And they regurgitate the entire whole thing again. And when they're done talking, you just want to go home and take a shower or go into the backyard and somebody beat you in the face with a 2x4 with a nail in it. Why? I can tell you why. Because they did not tell it to get it over with. They never did tell it to get counsel. Oh, see, watch. If you come up to me after service or before service or sometime and you start telling me stuff, you see, my first question is going to be, well, then I don't need to hear it. Come on. How much counsel do you got to have? What you do not want to do, listen to me. I see this happening in people's lives way too much. You do not want to have your time wasted by dealing with people. I'm your pastor. I'm here to help you. I'm giving you the truth of it. You do not have time to waste on dealing with people who have not assigned to you. Because watch this. Here's how you know if somebody's been assigned. If somebody has been assigned to you by God to helping them, here's what they will do. They will do what you are doing. They will listen. They will take what you're saying, they will stir it up, and they'll pour out the best decision now that they can come up with. I got a phone call this week. I love it. I love when people do this. So refreshing. Pastor, do you have a minute? Yes, I do. I appreciate that because, I just wasn't waiting at the phone to ring. Pastor, do you have a minute? Yes, I do. I need to get some advice. Yes! Somebody finally gets it. I got a situation I need to bounce off you. Bounce away, baby! Let's play some dodgeball. Hit me with your best shot. And we began talking and sharing. And it wasn't me pushing on them and them pushing on me. I mean, it was a conversation of someone wanting some advice, some counsel, got a situation, needed to deal with it. Awesome. They called back later and said, this is what I decided. And I went, yeah, that sounds good. Isn't it amazing what happens when God assigns us to each other? See, watch. You've been assigned to me. Once you walk through the door, you became my assignment. Once you leave the door, you're no longer my assignment. See, watch. See, this is why, me as your pastor, this is why I can deal. Watch, watch, watch. This is why I can deal as a pastor. People coming and people going. People in and they're out. They're in and out. I can deal. People come, people go. Blessed be the name of the Lord. You need to learn that cliche, and you need to repeat it over and over and over and over. Because for the rest, I promise, I just turned 60 today. And guess what's happened over the last 60 years? People come in, people go out. People come in, people go out. People come in, people go out. And blessed be the name of the Lord. And when they're here, they're my assignment. When they're not, they're not. When they're here, they are. When they're not, they're not. And the problem is when people are not, how many times are you not in church that I call you to find out where you've been? Never. I won't do it. To me, that's crossing a line. Because I understand what is and is not my business. What is my business about you and your life is what you want me to know about your business. And a lot of times people say, well, Pastor, I'm so sorry I wasn't in church last week. I'll stop them. Hey, I don't need to know. We good. I'm here. I can help you whenever you want. I'm on call. But you have to be careful, or you go the other extreme and you start doing things that you're not assigned to do. Because somebody, watch the danger in this. You do not want to waste your time on people you're not assigned to. You don't want to waste your time trying to do things you're not assigned to, because guess what? There are some people who are assigned to you, and they are waiting for you to come to them. Oh, you got to get this. They are waiting for you to loose yourself from some battery drainers and get to the ones that you are assigned to, because here's why. You've got to get to them because you have a word that is important to their next step of growth, development, maturity, success. And watch this. They don't want you to delay or to be deterred from getting to them, because they need that information to get to the next step that they got to get to. When you are assigned to something, it means that you have been given special equipment. You are being given, I love this phrase, special grace to doing it and to fulfilling the assignment, because you did not choose it. God chose it. God chose it for you. And since God chose it for you, He gives you the power to doing it and being successful at it, because you are not operating any longer under your own dream or your own vision. You are operating under the assignment of God that He has given to you. So therefore, watch, this is the best thing ever. This is how I've been able to pastor and preach this long, because it now becomes God's responsibility to equip me, not mine. Because God never calls the equipped. God equips the called. Come on, somebody give me an amen. And when I learned that, you know what that did for me? It released a whole lot of stress and worry and anxiety from me. Oh, listen, I'm not perfect. There are times I'm going to get it wrong. There may be times you come forward to pray and I speak a word and you're like going, wow, where is that coming from? But you never know when God's going to bring it back around or how it's going to turn. Can I get an amen? The Word of God will not return void. And watch this. If you come forward and I lay hands on you and I say something to you and you go, man, I don't know where that's coming from. I don't think that's for me. Guess what? It may not be. God may be having me say it to you because there's somebody else that I need to say it to, but if I do it to them directly, they're not ready to receive it. Oh, come on. Watch this. I'll prove it to you. Jonah has an assignment to go to Nineveh. That is his assignment. Now, how Jonah gets there and what shape he looks like when he gets there is up to Jonah. The assignment, however, never changes. So there's always going to be there is always going to be another ship going in another direction. So rather than going to Nineveh, Jonah gets on a ship going to Tarsus. Say Tarsus. There's a church service Saturday night at 6, but there's another party to go to. There's a church service Saturday night at 6, but there's another ball game I got to get to. The Cardinals are in the World Series, and we live in Cardinal country. Nation! I love it. You see how important it is to me. Jerry's told me for years, said, Dad, please don't use sports illustrations. You mess them up all the time. Now, said it for years, we'll always say it. What is it? You got to always what? Keep it in balance. Listen, there are times you need to... Oh, listen, I'm going to say something a lot of pastors won't say. There are times you need to miss church for a family event. There are times that you need to get out of town, go on vacation, and emote. Because you are stressing us out now. Oh, watch. I love it when people say, you know, Pastor, you know, I like our church and I like what we do, but there are just some things about the church, you know, I'm just not sure. Hey, not a problem. I understand taste and style. Here's what you ought to do. Take the next 2 weeks off and visit some other churches. Please do me a favor. go. And I'll tell you, it never has yet surprised me when they come back after about 3 weeks and go, that was boring. My family's all together for my birthday. What a wonderful time we've had so far this weekend. And we watched a video from 1986 of church. And boy, did some of you look so young. 1986. 1980 who? 93. Thank you. 1993. Are you ready? Chad was sitting there watching. We've known each other now, what, 3 years? Think so? Yeah, around there. How long have you been married? Wrong answer. His hand started sweating. Yeah. Yeah. Here's what I loved about it. It was fun, too. Chad looks at it and he goes, wow, you were crazy and exciting back then, too. I'm just who I am. You just need to be who you are. And you know what? We just got to enjoy being together. All of us have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Look at the person sitting next to you and say, you know, you're not as perfect as you think you are. Oh, and here comes another one. I got a what? Got a what? One of my favorite cliches. People don't have any problems canceling church for anything, but they won't cancel anything for church. And what do you got to do about that? You got to keep it in balance. Listen, I'm getting out of here in a couple weeks to go on vacation to celebrate my birthday. And we're moving the service instead of just canceling for the week, but we're canceling it for that night, moving it to a Tuesday. But you got to understand, you got to keep it all in balance, because it's important for you to get out of town, but also you never forget this. I wish if there was something I could open up and pour in to every Christian, every person who claims God as God and Christ as Savior. I would love to be able to pour this into them. The real impact and truth and reality. As it was said, this place, the church, is a sacred place. And it was called in the Word, the gate of heaven. The gate of heaven is not out there. This is a special place. There are things that happen here that cannot happen where you live, where you work, where you play, where you shop. Because this is the house of God. This place is not called God's house by coincidence. We intentionally changed our name to that because we wanted everyone to know this house belongs to God. Not you, not me. It belongs to God. This is the place of heaven. I'm trying to communicate to you that there is always another ship going in the wrong direction within your reach. God will send you on an assignment this way, and as soon as he does, there will come another ship going that way. But the assignment has not changed because you are not going with it. So you can show up at Nineveh looking good and smiling and smelling good, or you can show up at Nineveh covered in seaweed and smelling like the inside of a whale. But watch this. You are going to Nineveh because God is not changing his assignment. Watch this. Oh. You sitting here tonight, it would be easy for me to go, that person's not here, that person's not here, they're out of town, they're sick, da-da-da, they have this going on, that going on, whatever. But watch this. My wife asks me a lot. She says, how do you get up and do what you do every Saturday night? How do you do it? How do you do it? You've preached in this room when every one of these chairs were filled. and you come in here and you teach and you preach and you pour your heart out. How do you do it? Watch, I'm going to help you be able to do it now. I'm going to help you now walk through life with a whole new realization of how amazing God is in control. I can do it because this is my assignment. You are here because you were assigned to be here. As much as you think, silently, you're never going to say this out loud, as much as you think you're here by coincidence, as much as you think you're here by a choice or a decision that was talked about maybe over the last couple months that I found out you guys have been talking with Mom and stuff about coming here tonight. Are you ready? You are here on assignment. They didn't tell me they were coming. I shot Jerry Lee a text message, and I said, sometime in the very near future, I need to schedule you to be here. Because the Lord has assigned him a gift of prophecy and a prophetic word gift. And I said to him, I know that it's hard for Jet to travel right now. They had to call several doctors. Yes, right, Jet. And watch. And I said, I understand the whole family may not be able to come, but I need to get you here. I didn't know he was coming. He sent me a text message earlier and said, the Lord woke me up at 4 o'clock in the morning, couldn't go to sleep, and I need to send you a word. I said, okay. He said, I heard that you had a great service last Saturday night. He goes, this Saturday night's even going to be better. I said, I'll take those kinds of words, of prophetic words, all day long. Every day, every day. Why? There's an assignment. Somebody recently, Pastor Mark in particular, I usually don't tell. Pastor Mark, we're family. I've known all of you a very long time. Pastor Mark said to me, he said, I felt I had a word last week, but I didn't give it. I wasn't real sure exactly what the word was. I get that. I've been there. And I said to him, Pastor Mark, if that ever happens to you again, just walk up behind me and go, I got a word. I got a word. Don't know who it's for, but I got a word. Are you ready? I had to pray real fast while we're talking, because here's what I did. What if it was for me? Don't take my word. If God's got a word, listen, last week, Jerry Amsbury, he flows in the prophetic, and last week he did it again. I looked at him and said, Jerry, God's giving you a word. Speak a word. He spoke a word, one word to that person. You don't have any idea the testimony I got later that week about that one word that was spoken. And the impact. Don't tell me a word doesn't matter. Oh, and a word from God that you have been assigned to give? He didn't know what I was preaching on. He didn't realize he was assigned to hear this sermon tonight, to help propel him to continue to move in the ministry that God has given him in the prophetic. Watch. Every choice you make, every decision you make has consequences attached with it. And every one of those choices and decisions that you make have a rippling effect. And sometimes those rippling effects last a lifetime. And guess what? That's heavy. And guess what? It should be. It's a big part of the problem with the world today, because way too many people just don't get that. Your life, here we go. Your life is not just about you. Look at somebody and tell them that. Your life is not just about you. Watch. sooner or later, you're going to Nineveh. And you're going to have to say to yourself, I know what I am assigned to do, and this is how it works. And everybody may not like it, but the one that I am called to, I am going to get with, and I'm going to find my assignment, and I'm going to do it with all my might. I'm going to do it with all my strength. I'm going to do it with as much excellence as I can muster, and I'm going to do it without getting distracted by other stuff or other people. I am going to do it with some fortitude, and I'm going to do it with some faithfulness. Let me give you a definition of faithfulness that you probably have never heard. Let me give you the best definition of faithfulness. Here it comes. You ready? Faithfulness is the difference. Oh, so many Christian people need to get this. Please, God, let this one statement go viral. Faithfulness is the difference between moving from emotion to devotion. Listen, I understand that being faithful is not that it has some emotion attached to it, but that's not where it's supposed to stay. Too many people get stuck there, though, and there is a danger in doing that, because you cannot make the most important decisions in your life based only on emotion, because emotion is the most unstable part of you. The most unstable! Emotions are fluid. They're up and they're down, they're up and they're down, they're up and they're down, over here, over there, over here, over there. That's emotions. They are easily affected and manipulated by external stimuli and internal stimuli. Most of the time, they do not base their justification on fact or evidence. They just emote. But for your success and your growth and your development, please don't let my children down tonight. At some point. Get it? Good. Jaden, you taught us that one. You taught that to Papa. And your teacher taught it to you. I love it. Was she in church? Teacher church? Yeah. Because your school teacher's here tonight. At some point, you got to go from emotion to devotion. You have to be able to say, Cindy and I said it tonight on the way to church. We were driving, and I said, you know what, hon? This is what I do, whether I feel like it or not. How? How can a person be a Christian when the world comes crashing in? How can you stay living and moving and serving God and praising God in the valley and on the mountain, and when everything is not going the way you want to go? I'm going to tell you how. You got to go from emotion to devotion. God is God. God is God, and I am devoted to God, and no matter what's going on, I am faithful to God, not because I feel like it, because I am devoted to it. I love my wife, but I don't always feel like it. Oh, don't get too self-righteous on me now, son. You don't always feel. Are you ready? Why do you think we have so many people in relationships that never last? Because they base it on emotion, not devotion. I'm skipping some stuff because I already gave it to you. All right, here's the question. Here's the question I was sent to ask you tonight. And I got to tell you, this is a tough question. This is a tough question. This is a tough question for me to ask because it's going to look deep inside you. And I know that bothers us at times. But what good is it? This is a safe place. Sacred place, special place. Here we go. When I ask you this question, here's what I want you to remember, though. I'm asking it as your pastor. That tells you this. I've got your best interest. I got your best interest at heart. I want the best for you. Watch this. I have a vested interest in your growth and in your success, because I have a God-given responsibility to giving you the truth, and it is so powerful and so big that when I get to heaven, I'm going to be judged by God more harsh than you. If I haven't given you, I will never intentionally say or do anything to mislead you. Never, ever. I may do it out of ignorance or lack of knowledge or education, because I'm not the smartest guy in the universe and I don't get it right every time, but it will never be to intentionally mislead you. I will never, ever do that. Promise you that. But here's the question that I got to ask. How many things are you waiting a due season for that are a result of you not being faithful to the end? You're waiting for a blessing. You're waiting for an answer to prayer. But instead of being faithful, you grew weary. And because you grew weary, you grew faint. And the word says that when you grow faint, you will not reap. Get that? That's why it says, if you do not grow weary, you will not faint. And if you don't faint, you shall reap. That's why you have to fight it. The enemy, when he's trying to bring weariness into you, because that weariness and that sadness and that discouragement causes you to just faint. And if you faint, you cannot reap. You need to understand that. And the Lord brings that confirmation to you every moment. I've said it for decades, and I'll continue to say it with my last breath, that when you come to this sacred place, you will discover something different here than what you will find anywhere, because this is the sacred place where heaven and earth meet. If you are going to be coordinated with God and have divine expectation flowing and moving in your life, you have to learn how to go through and get through all the stuff that you're going to have to go through. And here's the key. Here's the key. Do not miss it. Here's the key. The key is this. You have to be able to get through. Listen, I have been through I've been through hell and back at least 100 times. You've got to be able to get through it. Oh, this is why we need each other, because this is not easy. You guys know this. You've got to be able to get through it with a good spirit. You know why it says that? It didn't say you got to get good, you got to get through it with a good soul. Because your soul is your emotion. Your soul is your mind and confusion and doubt and fear and all that anxiety and stuff that will come in. God says, no, no, no. How do you think David could be called a man after God's own heart with all the craziness he did? Because of this reason, he was able to get through everything with a good spirit. Oh, it's going to hurt. You're going to be sad. It's going to be difficult at times. But you got to possess a good spirit. And you have a good spirit in you. And hear this. It is not a testimony of something when you're still going in it. The testimony comes when you come out on the other end. When you are able to say that you have walked through some tough stuff. You have gone through some rejection and some sorrow. And the great thing about being in a church like this is you got a guy up here that's been through all of it too. And watch this. When it did not work out in a moment exactly the way you wanted it to work out, but somehow on the inside of you, you were able to say, I have learned to put my trust and my confidence in God, and I am not going to be moved from my assignment. I do not know what time it is for everybody else, but my Bible tells me that I can bless the Lord at all times. So if I do not know what season I am in, and if I do not know what time I am in, one thing I do know, forgetting what is behind me, I will press on to the mark of the high calling of Christ, for I know whom I have believed, and I am persuaded that he will keep that which I have committed until the day of his return. This one thing that I do know. You want to know why I'm so passionate about praise and worship? Because if there's one thing I know about everything, it's this: praise is always appropriate. Joy will always be able to move something into right position and a proper alignment. I know that keeping a good spirit is more of a test for me to seeing if I can be faithful, because God is always faithful. I told you several weeks ago about what happened with Jesus when he was walking with the disciples and he shared the talents with them. And the third one took what he was given and he did nothing with it. And he was rebuked. Why? Because God expects you to increase. God expects you to increase in your patience, your good works, in mercy, grace, forgiveness. God expects you to increase in areas economically and emotionally. God expects you to increase. I do not know where we got this mentality that faithfulness was doing something ineffective for a long time. Growth is a result of faithfulness. If you are not faithful, you are not going to grow. You have got to be faithful. And the more faithful you are, the more. Why is it I see other people who go through worse things than I've ever gone through, and they've grown so much? Because they were faithful in all of it. The more faithful you are with what God has blessed you with, the more faithful God is to give you more. The Lord blesses me with more, and I will be faithful. No. You're faithful, and then God blesses you with more. You need to understand that. We can declare and we celebrate that God is faithful because we have been witnesses and actual participants in the truth of God's word when it says, "And let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we do not faint not." Lord God, thank you for giving me insight. Thank you for direction, because God, you are faithful. You possess an advantage in this, because you have to understand, you have lived life long enough now to have been witnesses time and time again, without doubt or without uncertainty, that the God you serve each and every day, remember in your darkest, loneliest moment in life, God is faithful. Bow your heads if you would.